Hey folks, this is the Ridge Runner, aka Major Sean Merritt, United States Volunteer Rangers. Here to talk to you a little bit about some of my personal favorite knives. Now, this is just one man's view of what a good knife is, and it doesn't have to be yours. For the United States Volunteer Rangers, the basic official knife of the United States Volunteer Rangers is the Moraneve Companion, and that's a good knife in and of itself. But I tell people, it's always good to try to get the best quality you can afford, and sometimes it's just time to upgrade. And I've been carrying knives a long time, and I've got a lot of them, but these ones here are the ones that tend to get out into the woods with me the most. Doesn't include tomahawks and hatchets and all that sort of thing. This is just knives. I'm going to start clockwise here with the SE4. This is the first SE I ever got, and I am a very big fan of SE knives. I used to interact quite a bit with Jeff Randall from Randall's Adventure Training back in the old Hoodlums forum days, and on his own forum, and I still try to support him whenever I can. He's a good instructor, and his knife designs, they're hard to beat. This one here is one of his classic knife designs. It's been through two different companies, and it's got a differentially heat-treated 1095 high carbon steel blade, jimping on the top, and takes and holds a razor edge. It came right out of the box very razor sharp. It's got a canvas micarta grips. One thing I want to point out about the knives I'm showing you is that they're not safe queens. These knives are not shiny. I know a lot of guys like to show you their favorite knife in the bush, and it's always polished like it was brand new, because it probably was. These are used a lot. I had to retire this one for a little while because it was sitting on a chest rig for the Rangers, and it kept rusting because it's 1095 high carbon steel, and it was sat in that chest rig. So I switched over to one with coating on it, but it's another SE4. It's just not here today. That's still my favorite. I like the uncoated one better. Let's move on. This is yet another SE. This is the SE PR4. This knife is SE's answer to the Horace Kephart design knife. If you don't know who Horace Kephart is, you really need to find out. He's an amazing outdoor writer. He was an amazing outdoor writer, and I highly recommend you get his books. Camping and Woodcraft by Horace Kephart is probably one of the better outdoor guidebooks out there, even to this day. I'll move on here to I own a number of Condor knives, but this one I got used. It was heavily modified before I got it. It's got these cat's eyes on it. It is notched. This is the K-Tac Kukri. It is notched. I didn't do that. And I did break the tip off recently. I had to reprofile the tip. But this knife, this is probably one of the finest big knives I own. The only one better would be the Tops Anaconda 9, but I retired that because Ron Hood himself sold it to me, and I don't want to beat it up anymore. But I absolutely love this. It's been modified a bit, and it's just one of those knives. I got it used, and I got it for like 15 bucks, but I have no complaints. Last, and certainly not least, this is a nice bush knife made by my buddy Joe Schilling, or Deer Runner of Deer Runner Knives. His knives are down and dirty, right down to business. This thing holds an amazing edge. It has that's his maker's mark right there. Joe has been a friend of mine for many years, and he sent me this to test it out, and I don't think he intended it to be, but it became one of my favorite knives. I carry this knife when I need to put a knife on my belt, not on my chest rig. This is the knife that goes on my belt. I actually managed to find a sheath for it that fit really nice with off of Amazon of all places. But he could have sent me a sheath. I said I didn't need that because I already had this. At least I thought it was maybe fit, and it managed to fit pretty well. Anyway, this pattern of knife, if you're noticing, there is a pattern to my choice of knives. These are various variations on a similar theme. The blades are about the same length. The handles are about the same length. And there's even some similarity in the shape other than you get to this here. And I'm looking to get new scales for this knife because I like it, the scales, but they're a bit thin. So I might have something else put on there. But the big thing to understand is that just because you've been told by one person or another that a particular knife is great doesn't mean it is. You're going to go through, as you get involved with the Rangers or as you get involved in bushcraft, you're going to find yourself trying out a lot of different things. You'll probably trade some things away. You'll retire some things because they were really great, but they have a sentimental value. There's a lot of reasons, but at the end of the day, pick the knife that's best for you and then get to know it. Take it into the kitchen, cook with it. I've cooked with all three of these knives, and they work well for that. But it got me familiar with the knife. But this type of pattern seems to be the most popular kind you can find, in a lot of literature. A lot of the people who know tend to stick with about a 4 to 5.5 inch bladed sheath knife for a sheath knife or a belt knife. This qualifies more as a chopper. Okay, this is a separate item. But when you're picking out knives, this is sounds to be the consensus after a while for anybody. That these kind of shapes, this kind of shape here, this drop point, maybe a little bit of clip, but it's probably the most versatile pattern you can find. So I don't want to go belabor the point any further other than to say that when you get them, don't be married to the sheaths. I've got these custom Kydex sheaths. They look about the same, but they're designed for different knives. I got these custom Kydex sheaths made because I wanted them to do a certain thing and hang a certain way. Feel free to modify. I've sanded the living daylights out of these. This pattern of grind on the handle, I'm not entirely a fan of it, to be honest, because there's always these little humps and bumps, and sometimes they dig into your hand. I would much prefer a smooth handle, much like this one here. It may be made out of this. I don't know what kind of wood this is. It's a really pretty wood, but if you're going to make it out of Kydex, make it smooth so that it doesn't dig up. But it does keep things in the hand nicely. But I'm not a fan of that. So that's another reason why I'm looking at different scales for it. But the knives are amazing. Go through to SC, look up SC Knives. You can find them on Amazon. You can go through their own website. And if you want to look up Joe Schilling or Deer Runner, you can find him on Facebook and also on Instagram. He does a lot of outdoor skills and things like that. He went to the tracker school, and he's been on a couple of shows on the Hoodlums, specifically the Woodsmaster series of videos, which I also highly recommend. And he was also on Alone the Beast. But anyway, I highly recommend these blades, and especially his. They do what they're supposed to do. These are knives with intention behind them. And this one fits my hand probably better than any knife I've owned. And it's got more of a convex grind to it, which just holds an edge beautifully. Well, anyway, this is the Ridge Runner, signing off.